I have to tell you that I am so thankful for some of the big risks I've taken in my life. And one of them is buying that one-way ticket into the unknown.
Welcome to the second half of my meeting with Tarek Kholoussy. If you haven't heard the first half, you should definitely do that first and then come back here for the second part. In the first one, that was mostly recorded back in December 2018, when we just arrived to Brazil on the Nomad Cruise from Spain. Tarek talked about him fulfilling 3 big life goals: to run 25 marathons, to visit 100 countries, and the third one that we'll dive deep into in this episode, to start a social enterprise.
This is the Radio Vagabond podcast.
I wanted to create a social enterprise for many years. I'm passionate about social causes, and I have an entrepreneurial heart, but my background was very corporate. Mm-hmm. And for some reason, I found that sort of...
Did you know what kind of social enterprise? Because that can be so many different things.
That's very true. By definition, it says anything that helps society or environment that is revenue generating. So it's super vague. But I did not have a specific one. I always thought that I wanted to have some sense of feeling of meaning to give back. But I wanted to find something where I thought I could fit in that applied to my skills. And I realized that I'm more of a community builder, business development, relationship collaborator type personality. And so for me to go deep into one particular cause, it just never felt right for me, and I felt like I love something about my background and who I am. I feel like I want to help others. Yeah, I think that's where I can have the most impact personally. And so I gave it a couple of attempts with some projects that I never launched, and I just found myself really doing more like volunteer projects and fundraising projects, consulting. But now, funny enough, when I just met you this past couple of weeks, I pitched a concept during my talk to the Nomad community called Nomads Giving Back. And all at that point was a vision to inspire nomads and travelers to give back to the communities that we call home, away from home. And I really didn't spend more than, a minute on it in my talk. But as the fate would have it, the founder of Nomad Cruise, Johannes, reached out to me and said, hey, why don't we collaborate together? You can lead our charity dinner, and we can allocate funds through your organization to social projects and help you get going. And a lot of other nomads had reached out to me and saying, hey, how can I help? In this moment, right this moment as we're speaking, a friend of mine is volunteering to help build a basic website to help launch it. And it's just beautiful because everyone really recognizes how amazing our lives are to live these lives of traveling the world and getting exposed to different cultures. And I think that it becomes more meaningful when we actually engage with the environment we're in, with the people we're dealing with, to help them in any way we can, and really kind of make this global world a more of a local community feel. Mm-hmm. And
I think when you talked about it, it resonated with all of us, because we're so fortunate to be able to live this lifestyle and visit all these countries, and I feel so privileged to be able to go and meet these people and enjoy the country. So the whole idea about us giving back to the communities that we cherish so much, it's just beautiful.
Absolutely, Pele. I couldn't agree with you more. I realize that almost all of us really feel that, but I think we might need a little bit more awareness and a little bit of a nudge, which I hope to do through this organization. Mm-hmm. And I also think that the nature of a typical nomad is more of an independent entrepreneur, a freelancer, a small business. it's not like a large organization with hundreds of thousands of employees.
No, even though the community is getting bigger. And then there's the other thing, we live this lifestyle, but very few of us are super rich. We're living on the cheap mostly. We're just backpackers, no matter how old we are. So it's not like we have deep pockets that we can just put a lot of money into it. But there must be so many other ways that we can give back.
Absolutely, and I think you hit it on the head. It's redefining freedom. You know, I think the old me thought the more money, the more freedom. But really, freedom is more for me about, I think in reality for most people, it's about choice. And part of that choice is redefining what's important to you. And I think when there's this whole concept of groupthink often in the Western cities and the corporate areas, you feel like you have to spend a certain amount of money on certain things, but actually that's completely not true. So if you let go of those attachments, then actually there's a lot more opportunity out there to live the life you want. And to the point about the nomads living more individually, it's not individually, they're organizationally individual. I think there's a lot of power that can be achieved by creating collective power of this movement. I mean, take this charity dinner, for example. We raised thousands and thousands of euros in one night to give back to the people of Brazil, where we are now. That's a lot of power. And right now, someone's helping me with the website. Someone's helping me with the social media. And I think with all these amazing skills and gifts and talents and networks, I'm really excited about the future of connecting, not just because we work for the same company with the same badge, but rather because we connect on the same principles and values.
So, Nomads Giving Back had just been started a few days earlier. In a few minutes, we're back in 2020 when Tarek will tell us what had happened since. But back then, in Brazil, I also asked him where he thought it would go. What would happen?
Wow. So, think big. Think big. If I was to think big, this is literally almost day one.
You're listening to the Radio Vagabond podcast. Before we continue, I'd like to remind you that I would be so thrilled if you shared it on Facebook or Twitter. And now, back to the show.
If I was to think big, I would say I would love to be one of the go-to, maybe even the go-to resource for self-proclaimed nomads, but even just travelers, people that are looking for raising awareness, advocacy for social causes around the world, a place where people can connect with communities, both local and also expat, traveler, nomad people who want to make a difference and they don't know where to start. And I think in the end, you know, I asked the question when we got on the Nomad Cruise, what's your goal for this? And I asked my entire tribe, as we call it. And the three words that came up over and over and over were inspiration, community, and connection. And that's what I would love to achieve from this, you know? I think that's what it's about, both within maybe people that we would normally hang out with, but also people that we're going to those countries and those places to get exposed to. I mean, that's where the magic happens, and that's where the inspiration happens.
So that was then, and this is now. I have a few questions for you, Tarek. Are you still running?
Am I still running?
Yeah. You've done 25 marathons. How many now?
25. So confession, it's a lot easier to run and focus on your health when you're not working so hard. So this past year has been full on running a entrepreneurship marathon.
Okay. And the second question is, are you still traveling?
I am still living a nomad life, but it's more, I'm not so sure I can call myself digital nomad anymore. I think I'm more of a co-expat, if that makes any sense. I think I now find myself living almost entirely in Bali and Medellin, Colombia, the two hubs where I'm leading Nomads Giving Back. So I don't know if that's considered a nomad or not, but I keep going back to the same two places.
Yeah. So at that point, you were at exactly 100 countries. So how many now?
100 countries. You know, when you set these targets, you go after them, you go after them, you go after them, and then when you hit them, you realize there's more to life, and life's not the numbers don't matter. The numbers don't matter. I don't believe it at all. I think we
talked about that as well.
It's about living aligning with your purpose, and right now, my purpose is the social enterprise.
Yeah. When you in the chat that we just heard, when you mentioned Bali, I said that it was my hope to go to Bali 1 year later.
No kidding.
And stay a little longer. And little did I know that this is exactly where we would meet again, exactly 1 year later. And I've stayed longer. I've been here 7 weeks. I'm leaving tomorrow, so that's a long time stay for me. So the stars aligned. What is it that you mentioned Bali, and you also told me back then that that's one of your favorite places on the planet. What is it with Bali that makes you really fall in love with this place?
Great question. I would say I love the people and the culture. They have such a unique history and warmth about them that I felt the moment I got here my very first time years ago, I felt a special connection. Of course, the nature and the island and the beaches and the farmlands. I mean, just 2 days ago, I came back from a weekend living in a village with the locals, learning about their cultures. And
I was supposed to go on that, but I got sick.
We missed you, Paule. We missed you so much, but next time. But yeah, it just reminded me again this past weekend what I love about Bali and the Balinese people. And then on top of that, I tend to fall in love with the places where I've had deep growth experiences, and Bali is definitely one of those where I've had life-changing experiences. And so the affiliation in my mind of where those moments happened also make me fall in love with those places.
Yeah, you talked about the ultra marathon here as well, and
exactly, yes.
So I feel it's kind of symbolic that this is where we do the catch up, because I was literally witnessing the birth of Nomads Giving Back, where it was just a few thoughts that you shared in 1 minute on that talk on Nomad Cruise. By the way, I'll put a link to the YouTube video because it's on YouTube if people want to see this talk. And now a year later, I cannot wait to hear. Has it been like you thought it would be?
And even more, yes. You were there not only for the birth, but for the pregnancy. I would say the cruise was the pregnancy, where I announced it for the first time, and then you were at the very first event we ever had in Rio, at the language school with our friend Marcella. And
because we did get some money collected from the charity dinner on the Nomad Cruise, and then we came to Rio. Were there at the same time, and went to this school. Tell me a little bit about that school.
Sure. So this school is amazing nonprofit where they are in a favela. A favela is like a
township.
Yeah, I mean, labels are labels, but yeah, exactly. It's a very low income area with people that are disadvantaged, looking for opportunity. And there's an amazing school there called Solar de Meninos. I need to work on my Portuguese. And they're wonderful people we got connected to that really support the community there through education. And we had the wonderful opportunity on that Nomad Cruise. Thankful to Johannes and the team for entrusting me and Nomads Giving Back for a very first pilot project to use the funds raised on that cruise, which was a few $1,000s, and choose where that money would go. And we did a thorough evaluation of the right causes. So this school really focuses on the whole well-being of the children and really takes care of them. And a lot of these kids don't even really have good access to food at home, and so they feed them 2 or 3 times a day. They have weekend activities, and it's more than just a typical go there for classes. It's a whole holistic approach, and we had the opportunity to see their Christmas play one year ago.
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
Yeah, and then we joined a fundraiser at that really nice hotel. What was that famous one called?
Yeah, super famous hotel in Rio.
We'll have to put it in the notes.
Totally luxury.
Yeah, but the thing is that hotel is another great sponsor that they allow their space to be for free, donated when it's not being used once a month for these types of activities. We did a fundraiser. We had about 10 nomads there, raised some money there. And then what we did was we inspired them to create their very first digital skills sharing program. So the idea is was to create an opportunity for the kids to learn about like social media marketing and some basic digital skills to help spur their interest and show that what's possible in terms of potentially making an income down the road, or a field that they can study. And I feel like there are 2 major barriers among many communities around the world, in the developing world, that nomads, digital nomads, foreigners, expats have. One is language. English can be a game changer, and especially in tourist places, to get a much higher income and economic opportunity. And the second is digital skills, right? So what's the difference between you and I sitting here right now and the person serving us our drinks? It's often language is a skill, and then digital skills. With those 2 things, we're benefiting from these communities. I think that we owe it to try to make it an inclusive club and allowing those to join those economic opportunities that made our lives much more beautiful.
So going through the last 12 months, I know that you spent quite some time in Medellin, and now you're here for a longer time. Tell me what kind of projects you've been doing in Nomads Giving Back.
Sure, yes. So we just talked about that very first project, but since then we've had 55 events over the last a year and a couple months. And each of these events have been taken all shapes and form, but the one common thread is that they're all related to social impact. And really the vision and our mission is to inform, inspire, and empower all of us to give back to these communities that we're calling home away from home. And really, along the journey, I hear time and time again that people often say, I would love to give back and I would love to connect with locals, but I just don't know how. I don't know where to start. And so that's the key problem we're trying to help solve. And we've been doing that primarily through collaborations. We're not looking necessarily to invent the wheel. We want to really empower and celebrate those leaders, those local leaders especially, that are doing great work. They just might need some help. They need some help with raising awareness, gaining access to the foreign community, maybe getting some marketing efforts, support. And so that's what we've been doing. So these 50 plus events we've had in about 8 countries, primarily Medellin, primarily Bali are the 2 top. And we're trying to, if we're going to help answer the question, how to get back locally, we know we have to serve as a bridge. If we want to be a bridge between locals and foreigners, we have to be the bridge and build those relationships. And that takes time. It takes effort. But I got to tell you, I feel like I've created my own dream job, because all day I get to talk to people that are aspiring change makers or local change makers that are really doing great work, and try to figure out how to connect the dots and make it a more of a win-win-win scenario for everyone involved.
So how does it work? Are you doing this full time?
More than full time. That's why I'm not running or traveling anymore. No, but all joking aside, I had this amazing team. I've been blessed with an amazing team that believe in the vision that we're seeking out. We're now at more than 25 part-time people all over the world, mostly volunteers that are just aligned with the vision, and they want to make a difference in helping us help local communities. We also launched an ambassador program recently that are helping to spread the word, not only for ourselves, but for local causes and the initiatives that we're supporting. We have more than 15 of those now already. And we want to continue to help solve that problem. And we're focusing on those 2 places, but we may expand into new locations soon. We have a fellow Nomad cruiser who's an ambassador named Serge, who he's convinced me to open up in Buenos Aires. So we're going to host our first event in Argentina in 2 weeks.
Awesome. So I guess a lot of people are thinking, have you started this in order for this to be your new job? Are you taking out a huge salary?
Huge salary.
It's more than full time. So.
Yeah. No, great question. So thanks, Bali. I realized that this is my purpose. This is something that I really am dedicating a lot of my effort and time and my energy, because I really believe in the mission. I believe that there's so much more value that we can offer to local communities that we're gaining so much from. And at the end of the day, I also believe that we ourselves are benefiting by giving. I believe we lift ourselves by lifting others. I really do. And so that's why I decided to really focus, at least the next few years of my life, focused full time on creating and making a sustainable social enterprise. And that's your biggest challenge. You know, if it was easy, someone else would have done it by now. But I believe that we really can mobilize the collective power of the nomad movement for good. And we are gaining so much that aren't sometimes creating unintended consequences. And I feel like it's a moral duty. And so right now we've been focusing a lot on year 2 on the financial sustainability. So we're trying to create more experiences, more types of things that people normally would want to pay for anyway, and then injecting impact into that. So we have trips. You know, I just experienced a weekend that I was hoping you can join, but next time you will, which is more of a village experience here in Bali. I mean, here we are on this beautiful beach of Canggu, surrounded by all these foreigners, but a lot of them haven't actually experienced real Bali. And where we spend our money is also very impactful. If we're going to spend it at foreign-owned businesses and the more expensive that are owned by the top 1% versus the actual communities. Like, these are some choices that people can make that are giving back without actually cutting a check as a donation.
Exactly, and I remember when I was in the Philippines, I was offered to go on sort of a press trip after a travel conference, and I got to choose from, you can go to this beach, you can go scuba diving here, you can go surfing here, you can go to the mountains here, or you can go help volunteer feeding chickens and tagging goats and shoveling cement in to help build houses in the slum area. And I thought, I got to do that. And it was just so much more rewarding. That was a Philippines company called Voluntourism that specialized in bringing people in who want to have a meaningful vacation, quote unquote.
Yeah.
And it's I think it's something that a lot of people, it appeals to a lot of people.
Yeah, absolutely. And here's the thing is that voluntourism is a complicated subject, because there are a lot of people out there that have very certain opinions about whether it's right or wrong. And I think context matters, right? So we have to really understand which organizations to trust and to put our time and money into. But it sounds like that experience worked out really well for you, and you probably gained so much more culture and appreciation, and in the process helped the local community.
Exactly. So as for the question, are you taking out a huge check?
No, so far. I have been just happy to invest my life work into this.
So people listening to this and they think, I want to get involved. How do we do that?
Yes, I would love for anyone and everyone to get involved with our mission of Nomads Giving Back. So there's various ways. I mean, at the easiest way is to follow us on social media. Our handle is Nomads Giving Back on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. We have an ambassador program. So if you're into social media and you like to advocate for social causes, that's a great collaboration opportunity for you. We're starting to expand into new locations and creating tribe leader roles. And as I mentioned, Buenos Aires is our third one coming up, all because someone was so aligned and wanted to create a community there. And then as of today, we have launched our global Facebook group. So there's another way to learn and get engaged and get inspired from like-minded people. We have a newsletter as well. You can join on our website, nomadsgivingback.com. Those are probably the most obvious ways to get involved for now, but we look forward to creating more and more opportunities, especially to have more action, more impact, more volunteering opportunities.
I'm about to go back to Africa, and you haven't mentioned Africa, so I'll keep my eyes open if there's anything that would be worth looking into.
Oh, that's amazing. Africa has a special place in my heart. I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful journey there.
This episode is brought to you in part by Hotels25.com. It's a website that helps you find the best prices on hotels and guest houses and hostels around the world. Hotels25.com.
On the RadioVagabond.com, you can find all the links to Nomads Giving Back. And that's almost it for this episode, or these 2 episodes about Tarek and Nomads Giving Back. I hope you found it inspiring and feel like getting involved with this project. The job, is that better than working for Goldman Sachs? I'm not talking financially, but I'm talking as meaningful.
Listen, my life has been really interesting to look at different checkpoints over the journey. And even just hearing that name of Goldman Sachs, it brings back memories from years ago, decades even. And I have to tell you that I am so thankful for some of the big risks I've taken in my life. And one of them is buying that one-way ticket into the unknown. I have grown a lot, and it's because of these opportunities that came my way only because of the risks I've taken. And I'm just so thankful. I really am. And that's why I'm doing all this, is that I feel like I won the birth lottery. And I feel that the least I can do is give back in every way I can, and hopefully share some skills and some life lessons along the way.
Soon another journey episode on the Radio Vagabond, where we continue the road trip in South Africa. My name is Palabo, and I gotta keep moving. See ya.